The Fog Bowl. 4th and 1. 99 yards to glory. You didn't watch it on RedZone. You watched it live. Screamed at the TV when they blew it. Threw something when they lost. The gangrene Eagles defense. Not some highlight package. Not some algorithm feeding you clips. The real thing. Brutal. Relentless. Mean. Buddy Ryan's 46 defense eating quarterbacks for breakfast. Jerome Brown and Reggie White collapsing pockets before the snap was over. Andre Waters turning crossing routes into hospital visits. Seth Joyner reading plays like he stole the playbook. Randall Cunningham scrambling for his life while his defense kept him in games he had no business winning. 3 straight playoff appearances. 0 Super Bowls. The defense that made grown men afraid. The coach who punched his own offensive coordinator on the sideline. The owner who sold the team because he couldn't afford to keep it. Then it all fell apart. Coaches fired. Players cut. Stars dying too young. This is what happened to the gangrene Philadelphia Eagles. Chris Carter. 4th-round supplemental pick who caught touchdowns like most people breathe. 3 seasons in Philadelphia. Buddy Ryan coined the phrase through Chris Berman. All he does is catch touchdowns. 11 receiving touchdowns in 89 leading the Eagles. Red zone monster when defenders could still hit you. Then Ryan cut him. Substance abuse. Team policy violations. Carter was done at 24. Minnesota picked him up. 8 straight Pro Bowls. 2 All-Pro selections. 1,101 career receptions. 130 receiving touchdowns. When he retired, only Jerry Ricehead became one of the greatest receivers in NFL history. Hall of Fame induction in 2013. Carter works as an NFL analyst now, owns a sports training center in South Florida, ordained minister, assistant coach at St. Thomas Aquinas High School. At 60, still coaching. The player Buddy Ryan cut became the Hall of Famer Buddy Ryan never got to celebrate. Dick Vermeil brought the Eagles their first playoff win since 1960. Head coach from 76 to 82. Took a team that hadn't sniffed the postseason in 16 years and dragged them to Super Bowl 15. Lost to Oakland 27-10, but ended every championship drought Philadelphia had. Then burned out. Retired after 82. The pressure ate him alive. 15 years later, came back. St. Louis Rams in 97. Built the greatest show on turf. Kurt Warner throwing to Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Marshall Faulk running through everybody. Super Bowl 34 champions. Beat Tennessee 23-16. The coach who quit because he was exhausted won a championship at 63. Kansas City hired him in 2001. 5 seasons. Playoff berth in 2003. Retired again in 2005. For real this time. Known for crying during press conferences. Emotions on his sleeve. Fans loved him for it. Started On the Edge Winery. At 89, still lives in Kansas City. Splits time at The Ranch outside Philadelphia. The coach who burned out twice won a Super Bowl in the middle and never stopped giving back. Andre Waters, undrafted free agent in 84, who became one of the most feared safeties in football. 12 seasons, 8 straight years starting under Buddy Ryan. Led the Eagles in tackles 4 times, 15 interceptions, 156 games of violence. NFL broadcaster Dan Dierdorf called him Dirty Waters. His tackle of Jim Everett led to a rule change, the Andre Waters rule. Can't hit quarterbacks below the waist in the pocket anymore. The 91 defense ranked first in run defense, pass defense, and total defense. Waters was the enforcer making it all work. After football, coaching. Morgan State, South Florida, building defenses, teaching young players how to hit. November 20th, 2006. Waters dies by suicide at 44, gunshot to the head. Dr. Bennett Omalu examined his brain tissue. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. Brain of an 80-year-old man with Alzheimer's. Decades of concussions destroyed his mind. The safety who made quarterbacks afraid couldn't escape what football did to his head. Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. 13 Pro Bowls, 8 All-Pro selections. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 198 career sacks, 2nd all-time when he retired, 8 seasons in Philadelphia, Super Bowl 31 champion with Green Bay. Minister of Defense wasn't just a nickname, ordained evangelical minister, destroying quarterbacks by day, saving souls by night. 1992, lead plaintiff in class action lawsuit against the NFL challenging Plan B free agency. Won in court. Invalidated league restrictions. Created modern unrestricted free agency starting March 1, 1993. Toured teams. Oakland, San Diego, Kansas City, Detroit, Phoenix, Green Bay. Signed with the Packers. First marquee player to switch teams under the new rules. Reshaped NFL economics overnight. After football, ministry work, public speaking, fighting for causes. Criticized NFL hiring practices. Questioned why black coaches weren't getting opportunities when black players made up 2/3 of rosters. Spoke his mind. Always. December 26, 2004. White rushed to a hospital in Huntersville, North Carolina. Pronounced dead. Arrhythmia caused by cardiac and pulmonary sarcoidosis. He was 43. The minister who sacked quarterbacks for a living spent his final years serving others before his body gave out. Mike Golic. 10th round pick in '85 by Houston. 8-year NFL career. Defensive tackle for the Oilers, Eagles, and Dolphins. 115 games. 49 starts. 11.5 sacks. 3 interceptions. Started his television career during Philadelphia years. Weekly segment on The Randall Cunningham Show. Golic's Got It. Won a Mid-Atlantic Region Emmy. 1995. Moved to Phoenix. Lead talk show host at KGME Radio with Bruce Jacobs. The Golic-Jacobs Morning Show became the model for Mike and Mike 5 years later. ESPN grabbed him. NFL Tonight analyst and Sunday NFL Countdown. January 2nd, 2000. Mike and Mike launched on ESPN Radio and ESPN2 with Mike Greenberg. 17 years. One of the most successful sports radio shows in history. Ended November 17, 2017. Golic and Wingo started with Trey Wingo and Mike Golic Jr. Canceled July 20th, 2020. Golic returned as college football analyst for ESPN. Joined DraftKings Network in 2021. Currently co-hosts with his son, Mike Golic Jr. on FanDuel Sports Network. At 63, still talking football. The defensive tackle who hit people for 8 years has spent 30 years talking about people hitting each other instead. Buddy Ryan. Defensive coordinator in Chicago from 78 to 85. Created the 46 defense. The 1985 Bears defense that gave up 0 touchdowns in the playoffs. Led the league in nearly every defensive category. Super Bowl 20 champions. Ryan didn't get a head coaching job until Philadelphia hired him in '86. 64 years old when he finally got his shot. 5 seasons in Philly. 43 wins, 35 losses, 1 tie. 3 straight 10-win seasons. NFC East titles. 3 playoff appearances. 0 playoff wins. Lost to Chicago 20-12 in '88. Lost to the Rams 21-7 in '89. Lost to Washington 20-6 in '90. Defense was elite. Offense couldn't score. Owner Norman Brayman fired Ryan after '90. Arizona hired him in '94. 35-season coaching career. 3 different Super Bowl teams as an assistant. Perfected the 46. Coached multiple Hall of Fame defenders. Twin sons Rex and Rob both became NFL coaches. June 28, 2016. Buddy Ryan dies at 85 on his ranch in Kentucky. The coach who invented the 46 defense never won the big one, but changed football forever. Jeff Fisher. Chicago Bears 7th round pick in '81. Cornerback and return specialist. 5 seasons. Super Bowl 20 ring in '85 on injured reserve. Ankle injury ended his playing career. Joined Buddy Ryan as defensive coordinator assistant. Followed Ryan to Philadelphia as defensive backs coach in '86. Promoted to defensive coordinator in '88 at 30, youngest in the NFL. The '89 Eagles defense led the league with 30 interceptions and 62 sacks. Building monsters. Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator in '91. San Francisco defensive backs coach in '92. 2 years with the Niners. Houston Oilers defensive coordinator in '94. Took over as head coach 6 games in when Party got fired. Went 1-5. Promoted to full-time head coach in '95. 17 seasons with Oilers/Titans. Moved the franchise from Houston to Memphis to Nashville. Super Bowl 34 appearance. Lost to St. Louis 23-16, 1 yard short. St. Louis Rams 2012 to 2016, 31 wins, 45 losses, 1 tie. Coached the team's move back to Los Angeles. Fired after going 7-8-1. At 67, still in football. The cornerback who broke his ankle spent 40 years coaching and is now running the relaunched USFL. Jerome Brown. Ninth overall pick in '87 out of Miami. 5'11" defensive tackle who played bigger than his size. 5 seasons, all with Philadelphia. 2 Pro Bowls. Part of the gangrene defense alongside Reggie White and Seth Joyner. One of the most fearsome front lines football has ever seen. Buddy Ryan once said, if you had 45 Jerome Browns, you would win every game. Career-high 10.5 sacks in '89, 29.5 career sacks in 76 games, 10 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions. The man could do everything. Anchored defenses that made Saturday Night Live write sketches. June 25, 1992. Brown dies in an automobile accident in Brooksville, Florida. Lost control of his Corvette at high speed, hit a palm tree. His 12-year-old nephew was killed too. Brown was 27. Reggie White was invited to speak at a Billy Graham crusade the day Brown died. Informed just before going on stage, White deviated from his prepared remarks. Opened with, "Tonight, I had planned on sharing my testimony, but it's kind of been altered. Today, I lost a great friend. Philadelphia lost a great player. Jerome Brown died today." The defensive end who never cried couldn't hold it together for his best friend. Randall Cunningham, the scrambling magician who made broken plays into touchdowns. UNLV punter who became a dual-threat quarterback. Second-round pick in '85. 11 seasons in Philadelphia. 4 Pro Bowls. All-Pro in '90. 29,979 passing yards. 207 passing touchdowns. 4th in NFL quarterback rushing yards when he retired. Buddy Ryan's Eagles from '86 to '90. Offense struggled, but Cunningham kept them alive. Retired after '95. Came back a year later. Minnesota Vikings in '98. Strongest season of his career. Helped the Vikings set the NFL record for most regular season points scored. NFC Championship game appearance. Lost his starting job in '99. Dallas Cowboys backup in 2000. Baltimore Ravens backup in 2001. 1-2 record as a starter. At 62, ordained Protestant minister. Served as team chaplain for the Las Vegas Raiders from 2020 to 2022. The quarterback who scrambled for his life became the man helping players find theirs. Norman Brayman, waterboy at Eagles training camp. Snuck into Shibe Park as a kid to watch games. Son of Jewish immigrants, Romanian seamstress mother, Polish barber father. Growing up in Cobb's Creek, dreaming about the Eagles. Built his fortune the hard way. Market research at Seagram's. Ran his father-in-law's discount stores. Built a pharmaceutical company. Then cars. Cadillac dealership in Tampa in '72. By '80, he owned a strip of dealerships along Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. Cadillac, BMW, Rolls-Royce, Toyota. 1985. The Waterboy came back. Bought the Philadelphia Eagles for $65 million. 9 seasons as owner. Sold in '94 to Jeffrey Lurie for $185 million. Nearly tripled his money on the team he used to sneak in to watch. Today at 93, still running the automotive empire. The kid from Cobb's Creek who dreamed about the Eagles owned them for a decade. Wes Hopkins, second-round pick in '83. Walk-on at SMU who made a ferocious tackle on teammate Eric Dickerson during practice. Coaches noticed. All-conference selection his last 2 seasons. 11-year career, all with Philadelphia. '83 to '93. Pro Bowl in '85. Career-high 6 interceptions, including 1 for a touchdown. Voted most valuable player on the Eagles' defense. All-Pro in '85. Gangrene safety tandem with Andre Waters from '86 to '93. One of the hardest-hitting and most feared safety duos in the NFL. Retired after '93. 30 interceptions, 12 sacks, 5th in franchise history for interceptions. September 28, 2018. Wes Hopkins dies at 57. Former teammate Harvey Armstrong said he's fairly certain Hopkins suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, depression, anxiety, went into a shell much like Andre Waters did. The safety who made receivers terrified spent his final years suffering the same fate as his partner. Jim McMahon, sunglasses indoors. Fork to the eye as a kid severed his cornea. Super Bowl champion with Chicago in '85. The headbands, the attitude, then the injuries caught up. 90. Philadelphia, 31 years old. Signed as backup to Randall Cunningham. Week 1, Cunningham tears his ACL. McMahon becomes the starter nobody expected. led the Eagles to 10-6. NFL Comeback Player of the Year. The broken-down quarterback everyone wrote off dragged Philly to the playoffs on one good arm and pure stubbornness. After football, early onset dementia, CTE, part of the concussion lawsuit against the NFL. The headband rebel who couldn't remember where he put his keys. Today at 66, living in Arizona. Brain still betraying him. The quarterback who gave Philly one last miracle season, paying the price for all those hits. Clyde Simmons, 9th round pick in '86, defensive end. 8 seasons in Philadelphia, 2 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pro selections. Led the NFL with 19 sacks in '92, 121.5 career sacks, 22nd all-time. Arizona Cardinals, Jacksonville Jaguars, Cincinnati Bengals, Chicago Bears. Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame. Coaching started 2008, Greater Atlanta Christian School. Fellowship coach with the New York Jets under Rex Ryan. St. Louis Rams assistant defensive line coach. Coached Aaron Donald and Robert Quinn. Rams had 217 total sacks during Simmons' tenure. Quinn set a single-season franchise record with 19 sacks. Cleveland Browns defensive line coach, Missouri Baptist. Tennessee State under Eddie George. March 2025, hired as defensive line coach at Bowling Green. At 61, still coaching. The defensive end who had 19 sacks in one season has spent 17 years teaching other guys how to do it. Seth Joyner, 8th round pick in '86, 208th overall. Cut in training camp, re-signed later that season. 8 seasons in Philadelphia from '86 to '93, 3 Pro Bowls. Member of the 2020 Club. Arizona Cardinals from '94 to '96. Green Bay Packers in '97. Denver Broncos in '98. Super Bowl 33 champion with Denver. 52 career sacks. Second among linebackers behind Ted Hendricks. Monday Night Football 1991 against Houston Oilers. Joyner playing with a 102-degree fever. 8 solo tackles. 2 forced fumbles. 2 fumble recoveries. 2 sacks. Named NFL Player of the Year by Paul Zimmerman. Runner-up for Associated Press Defensive Player of the Year. Part of the Eagles' defense that ranked first in run defense, pass defense, and total defense in '91. Super Bowl 32 appearance with Green Bay, lost to Denver. Super Bowl 33 with Denver, beat Atlanta 34-19, final game of his career. At 61, still talking Eagles football. The linebacker who played with a fever hot enough to kill most people now breaks down games for the fans who watched him do it. Rich Kotite, tight end. 18th round pick in '65, played for Minnesota, Giants, Pittsburgh, Giants again through '72. After playing, spent 2 decades as an assistant coach, offensive coordinator for Jets. Hired in 1990 as Philadelphia's offensive coordinator. Promoted to head coach after Buddy Ryan was fired. Led Eagles to winning seasons in '91 and '92. Lost Randall Cunningham opening day of '91 with torn ACL. Still went 10-6. NFL Comeback Player of the Year went to Jim McMahon, who started under Kotite. Fired after '94. Jets hired him in '95. 3-13 in '95. 1-15 in '96. 4 wins, 28 losses overall. .125 winning percentage. Worst 2-year stretch in franchise history. Resigned after '96. Never returned to coaching. TV commercials for USA Network during US Open. Ameritrade during Super Bowl. Regular contributor to NFL Films programming. NFL Top 10 show. At 83, retired from football. The offensive coordinator who won Comeback Player of the Year for his quarterback became the head coach with the worst 2-year record in Jets history. 1 defense. 21 completely different endings. Some got rich. Some became Hall of Famers. Some died too young. Some coached for decades. Some vanished into quiet lives nobody talks about. The gangrene Eagles didn't just dominate offenses, they dominated headlines. Then, real life hit. Buddy Ryan punched his offensive coordinator on the sideline, and it became the most famous coaching moment nobody wanted to talk about. Norman Brayman sold the team because he couldn't afford to keep losing. Reggie White and Jerome Brown anchored a defense that should have won championships, but ran out of time. Remember where you were when Randall Cunningham scrambled for that 91-yard touchdown against Buffalo in '90? When you thought gangrene was finally going all the way? Drop a comment. Tell us your gangrene memory. The hits. The sacks, the moment you realized this defense was different. If you lived through the gangrene era, make sure you're subscribed, because next week we're doing the New York Sack Exchange, the Jets defense that terrorized quarterbacks before Buddy Ryan made it famous in Chicago. Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, Abdul Salam, the original defensive line that changed how football was played. Until next time, remember, gangrene didn't win the Super Bowl, but they won something better. They made you afraid.